Here I am with one of the most important aspects of UPSC's questions, that is the keywords. So UPSC in almost every question basically gives certain keywords like examine, critically examine, define, describe, elaborate, comment, so on and so forth. Now, what do these words mean and how do these words change the approach to answer the same question? So, for example, if I give you a question, but at the end of it, I write comment, then what? How you should approach it? But instead, if I write analyze, then how you should approach it? Instead, if I write critically analyze, then how you should approach it? All these things we are going to see in this video, and this will form one of the most important videos for your UPSC mains answer writing, because if you can get this right during your mains examination, you can score those marks which can get you the call for UPSC interview. So let's get started with these key phrases. So there are tens of them. We will look at them one by one. There are some which are actually really very important, some which are very straightforward, but some that can actually be confusing. So let's just start with the video. So very first words that you see on your screen over here, the very first one is define. So define is a very straightforward thing. Also remember, define does not generally apply on the entire question. It is only for part of the question, generally for the first part of the question. So UPSC, for example, has previously asked a question like, what is potential GDP? Now here, when they use what, then also they are asking you to define the potential GDP. So maybe go a bit beyond and explain that. Sometimes they directly write explain XYZ concept. This is slightly above the word define, so we'll see explain later. In define, what you have to do is, let's focus on this. In define, you will simply be putting the definition of that term. So if they say define allelopathy, so in 2016 there was a question in GS3 with respect to environment, or you can say from agriculture. It is sort of related. So allelopathy, if they say define allelopathy, then you have to write the definition. It will be good if you also give the example over here. This will form a part of your answer. The remaining part will have other keywords and other aspects of it, which you can check it based on the question. Next is the keyword describe. Now in describe, you cannot simply define and move ahead. You have to describe it. That means you can start by giving the definition of a particular thing, but then add a line or two depending upon the emphasis that is given in the question. Plus, you will basically describe it with an example. At times, a diagram may become really important, especially describe can be used in GS1 for geography. For example, describe the formation of Oxbow lakes, describe the formation of let's say the different landforms that can be there, or the islets that can be there. So in that, you have to describe the entire process plus draw the diagram. The diagram will really become very important in that case. Describe generally is the keyword used for geography questions, but it can be there for other as well. Third is elaborate. Now in elaborate, what will happen is, whatever is the term against which they have mentioned the word elaborate, you will have to elaborate on that. You will have to go in a bit of depth in that. But in depth, when you go, don't become too technical. Please make sure you are still writing in a very generic manner, but a bit of depth will be there. Now a similar keyword to describe is illustrate, wherein illustration, when you talk about illustration, you talk about illustrating a particular thing with the help of symbols, design, drawing, diagrams. So here in illustrate, you should know that whatever term or phenomena is mentioned, it is better that if you can provide a diagram over here, but not necessarily. Sometimes they can ask you to illustrate a particular economic process, right, or a concept. So every time diagram will not be essential, but keep in mind that if there is a possibility of a diagram, that should definitely be there. Let's move ahead. Next is the keyword of demonstrate. Now, when you talk about demonstrating, so whatever the term which or the concept or any approach of the government or anything with respect to which you have to demonstrate whether it is effective or not. So here a bit of data, a bit of facts, a bit of figures, all these things will be required in order to demonstrate the effectiveness of a particular thing. So if you ask me to demonstrate the effectiveness of Ayushman Bharat scheme, can I just randomly say its positives? No. I'll have to give facts, figures, data, the improvement that it has led to, the improvement in the health, the improvement in the poverty reduction, so on and so forth. That will be demonstrated with the facts, figures, data, diagram also is possible over here for geography and other related things, but majorly this is going to be related to facts, figures, etc. Then you have the word compare, and then you have the word contrast. Now, whenever you are asked to compare, see, if the question asks you to compare and contrast, it becomes easy. I'll tell you why. But if they're asking you to simply compare, then what generally aspirants do is, if they are comparing x and y, they are going to write the differences, how x is different to y. So in every point, if x is in this direction, y is in this direction. If this is the example of x, this is the example of y. So generally we try to write the opposite. Generally we try to, whenever we try to compare, we write the opposite aspects of each other, of the two things. But please make sure you also mention the similarities. Now, when they ask compare and contrast, generally psychologically we automatically feel that here the similarities and differences we have to write both. So there you will do the right thing, because at the end of the day you will end up writing the similarities as well as the differences. The problem actually happens when they write only compare. In that also remember to write the similarities as well as the differences. Moving ahead, the next word is explain, which I have sort of already explained it to you. So in explain, you have to basically behave like a teacher or write like a teacher. How would a teacher explain to a student? You will first tell what that particular thing is, then you will elaborate on that in order to explain it more. Then you will give an example so that the explanation that you have given is practically embedded in the mind. So that is why examples are going to play a very important role. So much so that sometimes UPSC itself says explain with the help of examples. There, though, it becomes mandatory, but even if they are not mentioning explain with the help of examples, you should still try to write the examples over there. Next is analyze and examine. Looks similar, but when you talk about analyze, you have to work like an investigator. In this, and in this, sort of like an investigator is how you have to work. So when you analyze anything, whenever you analyze anything, I give you a match to analyze. Or India cricket team's batting, if I ask you to analyze, will you talk only the positive? No, you will talk the negatives also. Then you will talk about the improvement as well, right? So you will basically dissect the batting of Indian cricket team with respect to the various aspects, positive, negatives, challenges, improvement, everything. So basically here you have to dissect. Remember the word dissect. Here also you will remember the word dissect. The moment you are actually dissecting these points, you should understand that the entire answer will not be point wise, wherein you are simply mentioning the points. Certain paragraphs may also be added wherein you go into the depth of the topic. I hope that is clear. Next is similar to analyze, examine, but completely different. That is critically analyze and critically examine. Now, what is the difference? The difference is of the word critically. So, the moment the word critically gets added, what happens is, when it is only analyze and examine, it depends on you how much positive, negative you should talk about, depending upon the topic that is there. But when they are saying critically examine or critically analyze, in that situation, what you have to do is keep it almost 50-50, or 60-40, or 40-60. Keep it something like this. Don't make it 90-10, right? Almost make it almost 50-50, 60-40, or 40-60, because it is critically analyzed. So you have to say in favor of the argument, plus you also have to say against the argument to almost the same degree. The degree might be slightly different again depending upon the question that has been asked. Now, next is to evaluate. Now, when we talk about evaluating, so how do you evaluate any scheme that is there? The UPSC is asking you to evaluate. So what you will do again? you will be talking about its performance. So how can you talk about the performance? Using the data, using the facts, using the figures that are there. So some facts, figures will become important over here. Then next one is comment. Now in comment you will be giving your opinion, but understand that your opinion is the least form, anyone's opinion is the least form of knowledge. So you have to again support your opinion, whether it is good, bad, whatever you are saying, support it with again facts, figures, data, so on and so forth, with proper logical reasoning, arguments, etc. You have to support your opinion. Then this before discuss, I will go on to what extent. So this term to what extent is actually similar to critically analyze or critically examine. Almost similar, not the same, because if I say to what extent this particular scheme has fulfilled its objective, then don't, you cannot say in 100% or 0%. There will be some middle path. So you have to write again the positive as well as the negative over here. Now let's come on to the last, but probably the most important and the most holistic word that is there, that is discuss. Now let's say, for example, I give you a question with respect to anything. Let's say a cricket. I asked you to discuss with respect to yesterday's cricket match. If I ask you to do that, then what you will do is you will discuss the positive, the negative, the issues, the challenges, and the solution. So in discuss is hidden various dimensions. What dimensions? You will talk about the features of the thing that is mentioned, the positive of it, the negative of it, the challenges in it, the solution of it, and then you will conclude your answer. Everything will be included. So these are the keywords that UPSC uses. The wording might be same. If the keyword changes, your answer has to change. I hope you have made out notes of all the things that I have said. If not, please rewind, watch it slowly, pause it and jot it down, and then practice in your actual answers. Send it across, write it in your comment section, and subscribe to UPSC with Toha for more such video. And the videos will be out every other day till the UPSC mains exam for 2026 aspirants, and for 27 aspirants there is a lot more than this coming your way. Thank you.